A tu lado vivirán y se hablarán como cuando estás conmigo. Y hasta creerán que se dirán te quiero. Pero si un atardecer las gardenias de mi amor se mueren, es porque han adivinado que tu amor me ha traicionado, porque existe otro querer. Es porque han adivinado que tu amor me ha traicionado, porque existe otro querer.
I didn't want to actually turn that off.
I'm thinking, I've made a mistake. I've got a cup of tea and I really need a rum.
A rum or a sangria or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, hi Eric, nice to see you. Hello everyone, and welcome to another That Album. I'm joined by my good friend Ieuan, and today we're talking about the Buena Vista Social Club, which it's a funny old album because I don't. When I started listening to it, I thought I don't think I've ever heard this before, and then the more I listened to it, the more I thought, yeah, I have definitely heard this before. And it was one of those things that was around a lot, wasn't it, back when it was released?
Honestly, I don't know. So I assumed that this was an album from the early 70s. In my head, Roy Cooder, Chicken Shack, 1976. So Roy Cooder's a early 70s guitarist. This album must be from the 70s. And then I was absolutely gobsmacked to discover it's from the late 90s. But the look of it, the sound of it, everything about it makes you think it's an older album than it actually is, but it's relatively new. So, and I clearly didn't discover it in the late 90s. I came to this a little bit later. Only really fell in love with it when I started buying more and more expensive hi-fi equipment, because this album just sits perfectly in a vinyl collection and played through a decent turntable. And the more I listen to music and sitting down of an evening with a glass of scotch to unwind, this on in the background is just perfect at low light. So I came to it.
Is it perfect? Is it perfect because it's good music and relaxing, or is it perfect because it conjures up images of being on holiday in Havana with a mariachi band playing in the background? Or is it a combination of the two?
A bit of both. Cuba is definitely on my list of places I really, really want to go to.
Yep, me too.
Because of the imagery. But I suspect it's become a bit more commercial now than this image that I've got in my head. But actually, it's a very, very relaxing album. And to your point, the more you listen to it and you said, oh, I have heard this before, I think it's because it's almost ubiquitous. We have heard the songs because they've been playing in coffee shops, they've been playing in bars, they've been playing in the background on TVs, and the music is.
And you said you thought the album was a lot older than it was, and actually a lot of the music is from the 50s, isn't it? And it's
and earlier, yeah.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting. So 1997, interesting time. John Major had his fling with
Edwina, the egg lady.
For a ban on landmines. Chris Evans resigned from the BBC when they wanted him to go. He wanted to go down to a 4-day week. East 17 singer Brian Harvey was dismissed from the band after publicly saying that ecstasy is safe. Dolly the sheep was born. Teletubbies were launched. The Ford Puma, the little coupe that they did for a while, was born. And the first 500 copies of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone were published. And oh boy, how you wish you had one of those now. So films of that year: Tomorrow Never Dies, Event Horizon, Money Talks, Alien Resurrection, and The Saint, and The Game. Michael Douglas, great film, one of my favourites. And albums, a great year for albums. Come On Over, Portishead, Blur, Be Here Now, Pop, U2, Urban Hymns, Fat of the Land, and OK Computer. So some amazingly pivotal album.
Can we just stop there and pick up on the fact that you just put OK Computer in that list, the album that you hated on the show?
I did hate, and I still hate, but I know that this show is not just for my benefit, though, is it? Let's be honest.
But and you know that you're absolutely right. That's a great list of albums, but how different is this to those on that list?
Yeah, it is remarkable, and
for the time,
I struggled. I struggled to kind of sift through the vast amount of story there was around this album. Now, obviously, it is the name comes from the fact that there was actually a Buena Vista Social Club.
Yeah, according to the DVD, because I bought the DVD documentary as well.
Okay, right.
According to that, it was. Well, actually, there are very few people who remember actually what it was, and it's now got this mythical type status. There are some people in the DVD saying, well, it was nothing more than a house and it was somebody's living room.
Mm.
And there are others saying it was a bit more of a club and a dance hall and stuff. So I think myth is built up around it.
Yeah, and it was a members-only establishment in Havana located in the Buena Vista quarter. The club was a popular music venue in the 1940s, a vibrant period for musical life in Cuba where musicians played not for money, but out of a deep passion for their art. So, yeah, and it's very interesting. It's clearly, I must say clearly, I don't speak Spanish. As you know, I struggle to speak English a lot of the time. And it's despite the fact I've no idea what any of these songs are about, there's that whole kind of Latin American culture. You know, it reminds me of that Havana imagery. It reminds me of the kind of Mexican imagery. It reminds me even of the Argentinian imagery. You know, that kind of warm, humid nights and people dancing, and you know, it's like amazingly evocative, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's obviously we sit behind our computers for a few hours doing research for these shows, and I had to learn a whole new language in terms of musical styles. You know, and I'm googling, what does that mean? Oh, what does that mean? I didn't realize that Cuba was the birthplace of the salsa. You know, when I think salsa, I think, you know, Strictly Come Dancing, or they've been doing it for forever. And it probably does come from Brazil or Argentina, but no, it comes from Cuba. And so much of the stuff that we think is Latin American music comes from Cuba. This tiny little island off the coast of the US, 90 miles off the coast. It's remarkable, really, that there's so much sort of depth that comes from them.
Yeah, and like you said, it's one of those places that's. There are a handful of places on my bucket list, places that I really want to go to, and for whatever reason I haven't visited yet. And Havana is one of those. And this is really sad. You know, it's kind of like the undermining of these little gems. I don't mean that as a political statement, but you know, our culture kind of subsumes and squashes everything, and these become tourist destinations. And kind of you want to go to these places when they have been discovered, but they haven't been too discovered. So they've still got all of that culture there, but you still feel like a bit of an explorer when you go there, you know, because when you go to one of these places and you round the corner and there's a Primark and a WH Smith, it kind of doesn't have quite the same magic, does it?
Well, that's what I thought. I mean, it's great to see that comment, so it hasn't become that much more commercialized, because the reason I thought it had is because whilst I was doing my research, I discovered that Starbucks are now there. You know, and I think, oh, God, not only are they selling their crap coffee in the States and over here, they're now selling it in Cuba. And you get, again, in my head, Cuban coffee, good quality coffee.
Yeah, you would think, wouldn't you? Mind you, there is a Starbucks also in China, you know, where was it the hidden army thing, all the terracotta soldiers? There's a Starbucks there now as well.
Really?
Yeah. Kind of, words fail me. Right, so the Cuban Revolution of 1959 marked a definitive end to this era of no segregation of people and a more kind of open and passionate society. The newly elected government, in an effort to build a classless and colourblind society, began to close establishments associated with Havana's pre-revolutionary hedonistic lifestyle. The cultural and social centres, including the Afro-Caribbean mutual aid societies, were abolished in 1962 to make way for racially integrated societies, whilst the government continued to support traditional music favoured by new politically charged forms. So should we kick off with the first song?
Yeah. And this song, in fairness, is the one that most people are going to know from the opening few bars.
Here we go.
De Alto Cedro voy para Marcané, llego a Puerto, voy para Mayarí. De Alto Cedro voy para Marcané, llego a Puerto, voy para Mayarí. De Alto Cedro voy para Marcané, llego a Puerto, voy para Mayarí. El cariño que te tengo no te lo puedo negar. Se me sale la babita, yo no lo puedo evitar.
I'm just flicking backwards and forwards to the comments, and not all of the comments seem to be coming through. So I'm really sorry if I don't pull them up on screen if you've left a comment. Lovely. I'm really pleased that it's worth a visit, and it's definitely something that I'm going to do. So this first song, Chan Chan, written in 1984, apparently.
I know that. I think what?
Yeah, unbelievable. And I guess that maybe so all the imagery that I have of Cuba in my mind is grand, romantic, but slightly shabby and rundown buildings, and beautiful either rusty or perfectly refurbished American cars from
the 40s and 50s. Yeah.
And this kind of I guess that since the revolution there's been a lack of foreign flavors coming into the country in a commercial way to kind of move things out of that era. So this being a song that sounds like it comes from the 30s, not coming from the 30s, but coming from the 80s, perhaps goes, that's some way explains it.
I mean, the trade embargoes imposed on the country were going to stop a lot of stuff. It's a struggle to think, given the way we communicate, the way we communicated now, and the way we communicate, that how would you not be exposed to other cultures, music, and that type of stuff? But you also need to bear in mind that these artists were in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. These weren't listening to modern radio and picking up on De La Soul or any of these type artists. They were, as we increasingly get older, we become more stuck in the music of the past. They probably done exactly the same.
Yeah, and I guess that one of the things reading about this album is that these people had been either sidelined or completely forgotten musically, and they're kind of brought together to produce something which is really a celebration of traditional culture in the country.
Yeah, but even because this song isn't about a modern phenomenon. It's not about crap American TV or anything like that. You know, it's about two peasants, you know, walking. I think they're traveling through the countryside to a city or something. I can't remember what the actual story was. But again, it's kind of the stuff that you'd expect them to do back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. You know, they would travel by foot from the place of poverty, seeking, you know, their fame and their fortune.
Yeah, absolutely.
But so this song is actually based on a dream that Pompey had. And you know, in fact, this conversation takes place in most of these shows. The fact that they can write something from a dream that they've had and pull in all these different cultural references is just remarkable. And the guy would have been, what, 80 when he did this? 80 something?
80 and still got it.
And still writing.
Yeah.
This. So the other thing that I didn't touch on this at the start, obviously, I mentioned Roy Kudo's my introduction to this album, the reason why I thought it ran forever. Actually, his musical touch on this album is very, very light. You've got to really listen to the music to go, oh yeah, I can hear Kudo on the guitar there. And on this one, I think he's playing bottleneck slides, but they are so far back in the mix.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting, because at this time, it's when world music, in quotes, started to become a thing, didn't it? So,
yeah, I think this was probably the catalyst to open the door for
maybe. I mean, I can't think when Peter Gabriel opened his Real World label, but it was probably round about this sort of period. And and I think what's interesting is that there were these little pockets of greatness. I'm a big fan of Qawwali music, because I used to work with an Indian guy, and that being recorded by Peter Gabriel and then brought to the fore for something to listen to in a quite a serious way was really interesting. And this is another example of that. It really does open the floodgates to a completely different, as you said, a different musical language, and you know, completely different style that you're I guess in many ways ill-equipped to actually really even have an opinion on, because you know what blues sounds like, and you know what pop sounds like, and then this comes out of, and it doesn't sound like anything else, does it, that you're familiar with?
No, it doesn't. Well, yes, it does, but that's because it's 2025 and I've got a shed load of foreign music. And I suppose most of the viewers, I guess, most of the listeners' first exposure to any type of world music would have been Paul Simon's
Yeah, absolutely.
Which we back, 85, 86, I think it was. So even that was 12 years before this. But, and I think about the noise and the stigma that came with that album. Or Paul Simon's gone to this state and is using the musicians. Kudo had the same accusations leveled at him doing this album with the Cubans because of all the embargoes and stuff that were in place. And they really did trail a path.
Right, so track 2, De Camino a la Vereda.
I'm glad you're doing this.
Mate, there are some of these that I won't even attempt to. So here we go, track 2. Actually, let's just have that opening again. I just love the way that this starts and then it kind of falls into the rhythm of how the song is going. So it begins a little bit kind of, I mean, clearly it is designed this way, but it begins in a stuttering kind of way, and then the rhythm for the song and the beat gradually sort of emerges in the first few couple of bars.
que hace yo perder el brillo. No deje el camino por coger la vereda, óyame, compay, no deje el camino por coger la vereda. Ay, pero yo como soy tan sencillo, pongo en claro esta drogada. Yo como soy tan sencillo, pongo en claro esta drogada. Compay, yo no.
The thing is, you just, I'm finding myself smiling in spite of myself when I'm listening to this, and this is not the sort of music that I would ever listen to. I don't mean that I don't like it, because I do. I don't mean that I'm not enjoying it, because I am. But I would never, ever put the needle in the groove on this record when I was listening at home. And
Really?
listening to it now, it's like, well, why wouldn't I? Because it's just delightful, isn't it?
I mean, I've mentioned this on a couple of the other shows that we've done. This starts playing, this album starts playing, and just I'd settle, and all the weight just drops away.
This is definitely a Friday evening listen, isn't it? Yeah. And
so to pick up on your point about the groove of the record, so I've got a couple of notes. And it's obviously it's a dance number. The fact that we are both sat here kind of doing this, I'm ashamed to it was a dance song. And it says, Ibrahim Ferrer, the gentleman who wrote this, his voice is full of playful swagger, is the phrase I've written down, or the phrase I copied from the internet. But it's backed by percussion from obviously the percussionist, and there's a piano. But actually, he sings slightly ahead of the beat, where everyone else is tight. So it gives it that sense of urgency, and it gives it that sense of swing. And this is where the whole new language I've learned over the past 2 weeks has come from. Apparently, it's a son montuno, which is a subgenre of son cubano.
As Sue says, this is the song about not being led astray. So, I mean,
it is. It's about taking the road towards a better life and not being led astray. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Just delightful, absolutely delightful.
And so I've got one quick thing before we move on to question. I know we're going to run out of time. The singer was shining shoes for a living before he got pulled in to make this song.
Nice.
And just go, what? You've got, but he was a huge artist in the 60s and 70s, but it just dropped out of favor and was shining shoes to make a living.
And I guess that's kind of it's funny, isn't it?
It's part of the story.
And I think that's also part of, because despite the fact this album was quite successful, it's very non-commercial music, isn't it? And I think it was, earlier on I read a bit about where it said that the Buena Vista Social Club was about musicians playing music for the love of playing music rather than doing it for money. And that non-commercial aspect is like, okay, well, no one's hiring me to play the guitar anymore or sing anymore. In that case, I should do something else. I should clean shoes or whatever. And actually, there's a lot of being at peace with that, isn't there?
Well, I'm sure we'll come across this at some point. Some of these artists had almost given up music. One of the guys has described it, he'd given up music, hadn't played for 20 years, and his piano was termite infested. And I think this album pulled back a lot of their careers. I'm not sure it's commercially successful. Absolutely, it's sold millions of copies, but it's not been hugely critically acclaimed. Some of the albums we've covered on here, you go, they had Grammy.
Yeah.
And I think this had a niche reference at one of the Grammys in the world music category or something. But apart from that, it's not been hugely critically acclaimed, which is remarkable given the impact and the position it holds.
Yeah, absolutely. But I guess to a certain extent, that would be down to the fact that we all of us know what we like and like what we know, don't we? And if you're a music reviewer and you which category do you put this in? Because I mean, it's not pop, it's not mainstream, it's not rock, it's not blue, you know. And so actually it's a micro niche, and although there may be lots of bands in that niche and there may be lots of people buying those records, it's not mainstream, in quotes, isn't it?
Yeah.
So let's move on to El Cuarto de Tula, or however you might pronounce that if you would
That's close enough.
speak Spanish. I can tell you that this is an extended descarga or Cuban jam session that highlights the improvisational skills of the musicians. The song is a favorite of guitarist Elides Achara, and features the vocalist Ibrahim Ferrer and Manuel Pontila Licea joining. Oh God, dear, I do. Anyway, we'll have a bit more of it.
En el barrio La Cachimba se ha formado la corredera. En el barrio La Cachimba se ha formado la corredera. Allá fueron los bomberos con sus campanas, sus sirenas. Allí fueron los bomberos con sus campanas, sus sirenas. Ay, mamá, ¿qué pasó? Ay, mamá, ¿qué pasó? En el barrio La Cachimba se ha formado la corredera. En el barrio La Cachimba se ha formado la corredera.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. So,
What a great brass section.
Improvising lyrics filled with sexual innuendo in the Santiago tradition.
Yeah, it's about a lady's bedroom catching on fire, and fire could be the metaphor for arousal or a literal burning bedroom. But apparently it plays on a Cuban tradition for mixing humour. But there we go.
Yeah, absolutely. So on to the next track, Pueblo Nuevo, a danzón with laid-back piano melody. This song builds to an ecstatic release when the trumpet enters. Here we go. Unless you've got something, have you got a story for this one?
I'm just looking.
Here come the fire engines.
Yeah. Yep, no, I've got pretty much everything that you've just said.
Right, here we go.
Allá fueron los bomberos con
It's almost jazz-like in some ways, isn't it?
Well, I think the fact the piano is clearly very old and out of tune, not out of tune, but it's honky tonkish. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is Nigel that made this comment. I hadn't thought to, but yes, it's great that he was putting something back in very much in the same way that Paul Simon did. Nigel will be joining me in October to do Keith Jarrett, the concert, so that'll be fun.
Nice. So this was Ruben Gonzalez, and you're absolutely right. He was on the skids. He's one of the ones that had a piano in his house that wasn't being used, but obviously went on to release solo albums off the back of this track. And so Roy Cooder's influence, again, he's on this track, but again, you've really got to listen to it with headphones on very loud to find it. But he brought these people together and used his reputation, his contacts
to give them a platform,
and to take the rest of the world. You've got these musicians sat here, and he did become very much an advocate for them.
Yeah, I mean, and it's lovely when people do that, isn't it? When you see these stars that are making, they're trying to pass something on to other people.
Yeah, well, and give something back. You know, he's done his time, and now he's going, okay, I'm going to go discover other things and see what else I can do.
So, Dos Gardenias. My Spanish is improving. So, a classic bolero written in 1945 by Cuban composer Isolina Carrillo. The lyrics are a heartfelt declaration of love.
Dos gardenias para ti, con ella quiero decir, te quiero, te adoro, mi vida. Ponle todas tu atención, que serán tu corazón y el mío. Dos gardenias para ti, que tendrán todo el calor de un beso, de esos besos que te di y que jamás te encontrarán en el calor de otro querer. A tu lado.
It is funny, and this just demonstrates my ignorance. As I'm reading the sleeve notes on this, Bolero written in 1945 by the Cuban composer Isolina Carrillo, widely considered a standard of the Latin music repertoire. The song became a hit for Daniel Santos in 1948. No idea who he is. Due to his recording with La Sonora Monteclara. No idea who that is. With an arrangement by Perez Prado. No idea who that is. And it's just a list of people and places and styles and techniques that I'm just... It's a completely different, quite literally and figuratively, a completely different language, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and so, again, this shows my ignorance. I went, oh, a bolero.
Yeah.
I know what that is. I've seen that on telly. I've seen Torval and Dean doing a bolero. Again, the bolero is a genre of music, but it was from Cuba. And the bolero we think of when we think of Torval and Dean was written by a Cuban using this as influence. You kind of think, how do they? This is a troubadour thing. You know, the guys used to rock around and just noodle with their guitars. You know, pretty much like you might at an open mic night. You know, these guys just rocked up, played their guitar, and they invented these genres of music. And so then I did my normal geeky stuff, and I started looking at the technicalities behind it. And it's just, again, it's a whole different world, literally.
Exactly, it is a completely different world that we're just getting the tiniest little sniff of, aren't we? With listening to that. So track 6, and I'll let you read this one out.
Oh, a ti quehato.
Nice work. So this was written in the 1920s by Eusebio Delfin, a good friend of Compe Segundo. The lyrics are a moving metaphor about a young girl who carves her name into a tree, and in return, the tree lets a flower drop to her. That's quite sweet, isn't it?
Yeah, and so this is the second bolero. There's actually 5 on the album. Because I went down a rabbit hole. But they say it's a trova or something. It's all to do with repeating patterns. Right. And actually, when you then go back into the whole album is based on these very simple 4 four chord repeating
Right.
patterns. And you think about all the different sounds that you've heard in this album, and then think, well, each of them are based on just four different chords. And it's incredible, really, when you start
unpacking it. Yeah,
nerding out.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, here we go.
En el tronco de un árbol una niña grabó su nombre henchida de nacer. Y el árbol conmovido allá en su seno, a la niña una flor dejó caer. Yo soy el árbol conmovido y triste.
So this is the first time that you're really noticing the close harmony of the singers, or certainly the first time that I'm really noticing that, and they're playing on that in a like almost a barbershop-y kind of way.
Also, the notes I've got say this duet feels like an old Havana patio conversation between two troubadours.
Nice.
And apparently, I've touched on the trouva piece, and it's two guitars, two voices, and the older of the sounding guitars, the 1940s sounding guitar, is, I think it's pushing the rhythm, and the newer guitar, the more modern voice, is holding it back. So you get this tension and just four chords. Though.
Yeah, I mean, but all so much music is built up on very simplistic foundations, and I think that it's really interesting, isn't it, that a different culture begets a different kind of music, and it seems so amazing that it's built on the same building blocks as the music that we know so well, and it's something completely different, like a real breath of fresh air.
You're quite right, but there are some genres I've stumbled across that are based on a slightly different structure. But you're quite right. This does definitely adopt what.
Yeah. Oh, don't know what happened there.
No, I think I dropped out for a second.
Yeah. So onto Viente Anos, another bolero. It says in my notes here, the inclusion of this song and the others like it helped to contribute to a broader renaissance of the genre in the 1990s, including classic love songs. Introducing classic love songs to a new generation of listeners. So really interesting that Torval and Dean would have chosen a bolero in the 80s, way ahead of their time.
You could say that,
yeah. So here we go, Viente Anos.
¿Qué te importa que te ame si tú no me quieres ya? El amor que ya pasado no se debe recordar. Fui la ilusión de tu vida, un día lejano ya. Hoy represento el pasado, no me puedo conformar.
Shall we dance?
So that's the imagery I've got. I'm imagining a town or a village square with a band playing over in the bandstand and couples dancing in the square, and that's the visual I've got.
What's going on here? Yeah, absolutely. And it is, we've said it paints a very vivid picture of a different kind of life, doesn't it? In a different kind of social structure. And it's really charming in many ways. So El Carretero, a traditional gajira from the east of Cuba. This song is a type of country lament, sometimes referred to as the Cuban blues. What have you got on this? What's your thoughts on El Carretero?
Yeah, I've got Maria Teresa Vera, one of Cuba's most important female composers, who composed it in 1935, I think. Was a pioneer of the trova movement. And now we're getting it technical again. So a gajira, it's one of those words I'm not sure how to say it. Gajira is rooted in 6/8, giving it a lifting, almost Afro-Peruvian feel. I thought, Afro-Peruvian. Now we're getting really interested. It's going to get very quickly. But then the note I've copied says an Afro-Peruvian feel when castrated with songs, usual 4/4. So you've got a mixture of rhythms going on.
Yeah.
And again, Roy Cool is in the background playing slide guitar. But again, it was your job to find it.
Por el camino del sitio mío, un carretero alegre pasó. Con sus canciones que muy sentida y muy guajira alegre cantó. Me voy al transbordador a descargar la carreta. Me voy al transbordador a descargar la carreta para cumplir con la meta de mi pequeña labor. A caballo vamos pa'l monte, a caballo vamos pa'l monte, a caballo vamos.
So, and I'm mindful of the fact that we've spent a lot of time talking. So the next song, Candela, interesting reading about this edit. A wandering troubadour known for his improvisational songs and use of sexual innuendo. There's an awful lot of sexual innuendo going on here, isn't there?
But the music makes you want to dance. You can imagine. We get the Argentinian tango type thing in mind, where it is a very sexual, very intimate, very passionate type of dance, and that does seem to just flow throughout the music.
So this one, oh fire, 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 I'm burning. This is one of the most danceable and exciting tracks on the album.
Rumba.
Ay, candela, candela, candela me quemo ahí. Ay, candela, candela, candela me quemo ahí.
Puso un baile, una botella para una gran diversión. De timbalero un ratón y alegraba el campo un día. Un pato también venía, elegante y placentero. Buenas noches, compañero, siempre fijo hacia el timbal. Para el equipo de tocar, para descansar un poco. Salió el ratón medio loco, también voy a descansar. Y el gato en su buen bailar, bailaba un canto liviano. El ratón se sube al guano y dice bien placentero. Y ahora si quieren bailar, busquen otro timbalero.
Ay, candela, candela, candela me quemo ahí.
Ay, candela.
Tremendous.
It is almost a rumba.
It is almost a rumba. Well put. Amor de loca juventud. So for this one,
I don't know that second one.
The crazy love, the love of crazy youth. about the deceptions and promises of young love is one of the sources that I've got for this.
Yeah, I've got that as well, bolero style ballad on the fleeting love of youthful days.
Mueren ya las ilusiones del ayer, que sacié con lujurioso amor, y mueren también con sus promesas crueles, la inspiración que un día le brindé, con candor el alma entera yo le di, pensando en nuestro idilio consagrar.
Oh, this is just delightful, isn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think the vocal performance is different as well, because we're not seeing vocal gymnastics like Mariah Carey does, but this is a gentleman in the twilight of his years, managing to go from high to low and flip between with relative ease, and naturally as well. It's not forced. It's not him showing off. It's just him singing the song and applying that character and passion to it.
Yeah. I mean, the only not exactly issue, but the only thing that I found with this album is that because this is a language that I'm not familiar with, I don't mean Spanish, I mean the musical language. I'm not familiar. I haven't found that many anchor points in here. So it kind of, in many ways, is just a series of really nice songs to listen to, rather than being a strong differentiator between, one song and another for me.
No, I actually don't disagree with that, because when you started playing one of the songs earlier and you didn't hit the right track, you carried on. I wondered whether we'd pick up on it. But I mean, which is odd because each song is distinct, but because we don't speak the language, you don't know it by the title. You'd hear it and go, oh yeah, that's on the Buena Vista Social Club album. You wouldn't necessarily say, oh yeah, that's Momelo or whatever from the album.
Yeah. So the next track, Orgullecida, I couldn't find anything out about this at all.
So it's a traditional son montuno, which highlights the ensemble's ability to weave voices and instruments in a tapestry of rhythm. Written by Faustino Oramas in the mid-20th century. So it's obviously one of these folky type songs that's been handed down through generations. Again, it's humor weaved into it. But the group plays a bit looser, a bit more jam-like. The original composition led itself to extended improvisation, so that'll be a bit of a jazz link to it, I suppose. I've got a note, a bit bluegrassy, so there must have been something in it that maybe go a bit bluegrassy.
Orgulloso estoy del ser divina y de tener maldita perfección. Al será que soy a la matrina, serán los finos reinos del amor. Luego vendrán los dedos del cariño de aquel volcán te llama tentadora y tú podrás lograr que...
It's always difficult to turn these songs off, actually, because they're very Moorish, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's very hard to find a point where it's acceptable to turn it off as well, because there is this continuous 4-beat loop and it just constantly moves forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So murmullo, whispers or gentle murmurs.
Yep, it's a romantic phrase. And what have I got? Another bolero.
Is it number 5? Did you?
Yeah, I think this is the last one on the album.
Right.
Given that we've got 3 tracks to go, so apparently, yeah, Orlando de la Rosa was one of Cuba's most celebrated bolero composers. And critically, this track is meant to be one of the album's emotional high points.
Okay. That's great, isn't it?
How much fun is the pianist having?
Yeah. But it is almost like like he's joking with the audience and the music, isn't it? It's just delightful. Oh, there we go. I'd had enough of you. Didn't want you interrupting me there in full flow. So that brings us on to the penultimate track and the title track. Buena Vista.
And what we can say.
Sorry?
And what we can say.
Yes, well, almost. I'm not quite sure how anyone that speaks Spanish well would say we could grasp that. But this is a danzón again, and this was written by. There's actually quite a lot on this, isn't there? This was written by Israel Lopez, who's he was one of the people that played in the Buena Vista Social Club when he was younger.
Yeah. And I think his family have got a musical heritage within Cuba that goes back generations. His whole family all played double bass. He wanted to play the violin, and his dad said, no, you're playing double bass, and gave him a cello to practice on until he could fit the double bass. But yeah, so his father is very, very famous. He was a giant, apparently, within Cuban music. So yes, this guy not only wrote the piece in 1938, but his whole family and his whole culture is just riddled throughout all of Cuban music.
Fantastic. I haven't drunk for years, but it does make me want to crack open a pina colada, I must say. It's got that
So
mood.
I'm listening at then. There's that funny pheromone type sound,
Mm.
and I can't imagine how they've made that noise, given that a lot of this, unless it's code on a.
Well, the other thing that makes that noise is a saw, isn't it? If you bend the saw and play it with a bow, it makes that noise.
I've got a story about that for another time.
I shall look forward to it. But on to the last track, La Bella Mesa, which is a funny title, isn't it? Because it's the same as the title of the Cuban national anthem.
Okay. Yes, and not to be confused with it. Yeah, so apparently it's
different words, different meaning.
It's a very common. Yeah, I've got this is the romantic trover.
Yeah, so I'm thinking I might write a rock song called "God Save the King." Although someone's actually beaten me to that, haven't they?
Well, it just depends where you. Yeah, okay. Let's say they have.
So here we go. La Bella Mesa. La Bella Mesa.
Lleva en su alma la magia mesa, tristes recuerdos de tradición. Cuando contempla sus verdes llanos, lágrimas vierten por sus pasiones. Sí, lleva en su alma la magia mesa, tristes recuerdos de tradiciones.
Yeah, I mean, do you know, the thing is that it's the overwhelming majority of content on this album is kind of harmless fun, isn't it? You know, it's music that makes you kind of, as Helen said, sway your hips first, followed by your shoulders. You know, you can't help but kind of start to groove a little bit and smile. It's just
and so we talked about obviously this album not necessarily because of our knowledge of the type of music, not necessarily sitting together, but this track absolutely belongs as the last track on the album, because this is 11:15 at night, last orders have been called, everyone's drunk, and it's an old guy singing at the piano and everyone's joining in, and that's what this song is, and it kind of just fits that evening.
Yeah, it is. And you know, it's the whole experience of listening to this has been a soothing one. You know, you listen to some albums and they're familiar, or they're challenging, or they're kind of vacuous or whatever, and this isn't any of those things. It's just nice and comfortable, and it's
and for me that's been the challenge, because I listen to it and I instantly go,
yeah,
and it means I'm not listening to it, I'm not writing notes, and I've had to concentrate on listening to it, whereas normally I haven't got to concentrate because it's stimulating, it's invigorating, whatever. This just
exactly that. It's beautiful, lovely, fun, and sad at the same time. It is a farewell. So what a great album, what a great week of listening to this. It's been really really interesting. I mean, enjoyable, but really interesting, because way out of my normal swim lane, and I think probably most people's normal swim lane. You know, it's been really great fun and really soothing. In stark contrast, so next week there isn't a show because I'm taking my daughter to Glasgow, where she's starting university, which is a long drive. But the following week, we're having and we've not done any album from him as yet. Michael Jackson, Off the Wall. So that will be an interesting album to cover, and an important album for everybody of our sort of age, I suspect.
What is it Big Connolly says? That wherever you go in the world, there's always two people that have been there before you. One's the guy selling Coca-Cola, and the other's the guy selling Michael Jackson t-shirts.
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone in the audience who's joined in, thank you so much. It's been great to have your input and your comments. Ieuan, of course, thank you. What a fantastic choice of album, and really unusual and interesting because of that. So thank you. So see you all next week. Not next week, the week after next, I hope. And everybody have a great